Okay, we're now recording. Don't
Okay.
be nothing bad about
We need to go back and follow up several times sometimes.
me. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'll be like watching it saying, oh, I know exactly what he was talking about. And I could go back and then as soon as I go in there and look at it, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do.
I forgot what he
Don't
said.
remember.
Yeah. Let's talk about reporting a little bit here, since we're going to talk about performance monitoring a little bit. So when you're doing reporting, you can report either at the group level. So if we wanted to include both the WIC and the WIC BF plan in our report, we would be selecting the group, and there'd be nothing down here in this little service initiative cookie crumb. And then when I do the report, which will go up to the report menu, generate the operational plan report, take a look at it here anyhow. So we have, see, service 1 WIC, service 2 WIC BF, breastfeeding. Okay. And then activities. So we got the activities under there. Is this the plan you're talking about that's kind of an annual plan?
Right. Like every year we will update, update this.
So here's an easy way to go about doing that. So now, would both of these be included in the next year? So this would be, looks like 2023. So if you're building a 2024 plan, both of these would be included in the next year?
Yeah, it's usually very similar, and then we update the numbers. That's, pretty much what we do.
Right.
There's not a lot of change. There just will be updated.
Great. That makes it easy then. Okay, so here's what I would suggest. Under the WIC group, I would go down to the services initiatives. And just for now, I'm going to rename this WIC 2023. It looked like it had all the dates for 2023. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to rename this one WIC BF 2023. Just so we don't get them mixed up here. Now, hang on, hit the button here. Okay, something. Okay, there we go. Okay, now what you can do is copy the entire plan into a new plan. It has everything all the way down, every person assigned, every date, and then just go in and change the activity dates. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to copy WIC 2023. So what I'm going to do is go down here, see the little 2-paper button that I'm pointing at here? I'm going to hit that.
Mm-hmm.
That copies the entire plan. So it'll be all the services, goals, objectives, and activities for WIC 2023. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that.
And you do that from the services and initiatives level.
You can do it from any level. So what you're going to do, if I'm at the services initiative level, it's going to copy the service and all of the sub-plan elements. If I go to the goal level, it'll copy the goal, the objectives, and activities. If I go to the objective level, it'll copy the objective and the activities. So it's copying everything below itself in the pyramid, including itself. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I hit the copy button here, and it lights up. This is a paste button, the A next to it. So all I'm going to do now is hit this, and it's going to say, okay, you want to make a copy. What do you want to do with the traffic lights? Do you want to leave them alone, copy them from the previous plan? Do you want to set them all red? Do you want to set them all green? What would you prefer to do?
Let's set them all red for now.
Okay, so we're going to set them all red. And by the way, I can easily change that for you. So now you see we have this WIC 2023 copy. So I'm going to go down here and make that WIC 2024 and save it. Now, if I go down and generate the report for this plan, and the activities, it's an exact duplicate of the plan. You see it has all the same people assignments. Now, the thing you're going to want to do is go down through these activities and just change the dates. So let's go look at that.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and navigate down. We've got one goal, looks like one objective. And then down here, I'm going to go in here, and these would be the new dates that you put in there. So you probably looks like 10/1 of 23 to 9/30 of 24. Would that be right?
Yes.
Okay. So to do that, I'll just bump it up a year here. So 10/1 of 23 to
24 in there. So they're doing 24. We'll have to go back for the new one. We'll have to go in and put 2025.
Okay. So again, what you're going to do is go through each of these activities, change the dates, and now you've got a 2024 version of that plan. The other thing you
Okay.
can do when you're done with 2023, which I guess you are at this point in time. No, you're going. Hang on a second. Let me look at the dates again. Yeah, so you're done. You're done with this because it was completed 9/30 of 23.
Mhm.
So what you can do up here is hide that service, the 2023. So I'm going to hit that, save it, and you'll see it grays out. That keeps all of the information, everything you put in the plan, everything in there is in there. But normal users, what we call normal users, can't even see it. Managers and org admins can see it, report on it, do anything they want to do with it here. Now let's go ahead and make the copy of WIC BF 2023. So I'm going to copy that. And then again, I'm going to paste it in here. We'll set them all to red. And now we got the copy here. Go ahead and make that 2024 and save it. And then we'll go ahead and just hide that one up there. Okay, so now to the normal user is all you're going to see is WIC 2024 and WIC BF 2024. These are still there. Again, for manager level and org admin level, they can go back. I can generate the report right now on this one. You can see everything that happened in there. And I've got the new ones in there. So that's the easiest way to go from year to year. And then it's just a simple process of going down and updating the dates.
Okay. Yeah, that specifically would be very simple. My next question about updates would be, for example, when you are working on a plan and you see that the activity you have in there is not working and you want to change the activity, but you still want to, so you want to show that you've made a change to the plan based on, I'm trying to think of a specific that we had an issue with that we were going to have to make a change to, and I'm drawing a blank. But how do you make that change and capture that you made the change based on how the activity wasn't working? Am I asking this clearly? I don't know if I'm asking.
A couple of things you could do. Number one, you could do the exact same thing we just did up at the service level. You can copy and paste the activity and then hide the old activity. Probably the easiest thing, if you're just going to change it, you can just go down here and put in a time and date stamp note. This little button right here puts a date and time stamp, and put a note in there that says, we changed this, this, and this in this activity because of this, this, and this. And then you're moving on a new activity with all the new, whatever you put in there. All that history is saved here in the history file on that particular activity. In this case, we just have the one update because it's the brand new one we just put in there. But all of that, that is kept. But typically, you're just going to put a note in there as to why you made the change and move forward from there.
So that's sort of what I've been doing, is putting notes in there and saying, we're going to change the like what we want the performance metric to be. Or for example, so that's what I've been doing, is putting notes, but I didn't know if there was a better way to
the other
capture
way
those changes.
Is make a copy. So you could put, let's say you take, and I won't mess up your activities in here, but let's go ahead and take, I'll tell you what we had, I believe. Do we have anything under the training group here? Yeah, training idea here. Let me just go down and I'll play with somebody's idea down here. So Michelle Walker will complete training. So let's say that's the activity that you say, now we're not going to do that. I can just go in and make a copy of that activity. So first of all, I'll make a copy here. I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to say, I'll just keep it as a green light. Now I have a copy of that activity. So this is the same activity, and we'll say updated or something along that line. Save that. Now I'm going to go back up to this activity and put a note down here that says,
see what he's typing, but I'll get a little smaller.
See activity 3. So it's all what I'm doing is saying, I just put a note in there that said, we're not, and it'll give you the date, time, and it'll, whoever, this just happens to be my username. It'll have, Michelle Walker put a decided not to pursue this activity, see activity 3, and then I can go down here to activity 3, which you do whatever changes in the activity you want to be able to do. So that's another way to go about doing it. And then you just kind of got this activity in there still, but when you look at it, and you can mark it as yellow or something along that line, or mark it as red if you wanted to, and just say, we're not going to complete the activity.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll just save that as red. So anybody looks at it, they'll look at the red, they'll go down to the notes here and say, oh, I see what's going on. Then they can go down here to number 3.
Okay.
And if you wanted to, you can also, so for instance, we could go ahead and make this down here, just change the sort order number here, make that number 1, and then we'll take this one and make it number 3. So it's kind of, hanging out the bottom down there. So you can move them around to what you want to do with them. So a couple ways, a lot of times if you're going to, change the activity radically, you make a new one. If it's just a subtle change to the activity, the dates or the person or whatever, just put a note in there and move on. Make the changes to the activity, put the note in there and move on. The previous version will be again in the history file here. And the new version, all the changes to the new version will show up in the history file. So you can always go back and look and say, I wonder what was going on when we made that change, and just look at the notes and such.
Okay. I guess I didn't even think about the little history icon thing.
Yeah, the history is generated.
The other thing I would like was if you would show like how my staff can go in and put in the quick updates, like the quick weekly updates or the monthly updates of the emails that they get, of go over that with them. And then also, how do we print, at the beginning, we were printing like a report so that we could like meet with the staff and discuss like what they had been updating. And I can't remember what that report was or how to get to that report.
Okay. So the report, the main report that you'll use is that operational plan report. So let's go back. I'm going to use the example of your chip because it's really nice and complete here. So I'm going to go up to the reports menu up here, the blue one, click on that, and then generate the operational plan. Now, again, let me make a caveat here. The reports, again, can be generated at 2 levels, either the group level. So if I do this, it's going to be the entire chip. And I'll know that because what we call the cookie crumb down here at the bottom, when I roll over, you can see the descriptions. And you'll notice there's nothing over here. I haven't selected a service, which means I can't select a goal, objective, or activity. So if I do that and I generate the report, it's going to be for the entire chip. If I go down a level to services initiatives and say, I just want to generate a report for healthy living and not opioid misuse and maternal child health, then by having this initiative down here, healthy living, if I generate the report, it's not going to include these 2. So that's kind of the way the reports work. So if some plans, by the way, start at the service initiative level, like we did down in the training group here. Some plans start at the goal level. So your chip and your strategic plan are typically at the goal level. Some other plans are down at this level. So I might just want to see one of the plans, and that's why that function is in there. So let's go back to our groups here and select my chip. And now when this is gone, and I have to go back and select the chip again, I'll show you that again. So right now you see that the healthy living is selected. And I'm going back to the groups tab. It's still selected. Until I actually physically select the group again, this priority is going to stay there. So I'll select chip again, and now the 1 goes away. And that means when I generate the report, it's going to be the entire chip. So let's go generate the report. Click on reports, click on operational plan report. It's going to ask you, do you want to show data from services which have been hidden? The reason this just showed up is because we hid those 2 WIC services for 2023. So it's going to ask you if they were in the stream of the report, it would include the hidden ones. And again, this only shows up if you're a manager or an org admin user. If you're a normal user, they won't even see this. They don't have the option of looking at hidden services or archive services. I'm going to go ahead and say no. It's going to generate our operational plan report. And right now it's generating at the objective level, as you can see. So I'm going to take it down to the activity level here. And again, no hidden services. And so there we have the complete chip at the activity level. To print this report or to PDF it or whatever you want to do with it, make it a web, it is actually a web page in itself. It's this button down here in the bottom right. So I click on that. It's going to give me the default report name. So I'll click on that. And I'm just going to save this to my desktop. So you got to save the report somewhere. And I'm going to save it to my desktop. It is an HTML file, which means it's a web page in itself. So if somebody gets this file and they double click on it, it's going to open in a web browser. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now it's going to show up here in the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It opens a new browser tab. And so there's our report. From here, lots of things you can do with it. You can use the three dots up here and say, okay, I want to print it. So I can print it to my printer. I can print it to a PDF file, whatever other options you have under your print here. Typically, when I print these things, I like to flip them landscape mode and narrow margins just to get the most stuff on the page as I can. I think it's my left brain in there. The other thing you can do with this pretty easily is to click anywhere on this report, hit Control A to select all, hit Control C to copy. And then what you're going to probably want to do is pop open a Word document. And then you can set the Word document again, landscape, narrow margins. And then you can paste this right into the Word document. It'll look exactly like this in the Word document. So it formats perfectly. Once you're in the Word document, you can go in and edit things. Like you may not want the vision, mission, and values up here at the top of the report. So in a Word document, you can edit that out. The report itself, like I mentioned, is actually a web page in itself. So if for some reason you wanted to put a copy of this report up on your web page, you can do that and just have the link on the web page going right to this report. And it is a web page in itself. So that's how you generate the report. That is the primary report that you'll be using. Is that what kind of what you're looking to do? You're muted.
I'm muted again. I was trying to mute because I knew that somebody was going to talk and you weren't going to need to hear it. But then as soon as I needed to talk, of course I was muted. I felt like there was something in heaven. I don't know if maybe, do you remember the reports that we printed for people when we were first like doing their training and seeing if they went in and did their like quick updates? Didn't we print something for them?
Yeah, but I feel like it had 1,000 more steps than what you just showed, so I'm not sure.
Well, to find out
Was
if
it
people have
user-
done a quick update, you can just use the dashboard screen. So if I go back to my
Okay.
Google tab and select chip and then go up here to the traffic light and select the dashboard, it's going to show me the dashboard screen for the chip. Plus it's going to show me down here the people that you see down here who've actually done their updates here. So at this point in time, it just shows, let me go down to the activity level here.
Most of it's just going to be my name.
Yeah, so we have Aaron, Evan, and Michelle, and it shows.
Evan.
So it shows the last time they updated it. The green is less than 30 days ago. There's a yellow that's 30 to 60, and red is over 60 days. Is that what you were talking about?
Okay.
Kind of the status here. So now to do the quick updates, remember quick updates are based on the assignments. So let's go back down to my chip and go down to the objective level. So each objective has got an objective lead, and probably Michelle on pretty much everything here. And then down at the activity level, you've got the activity leads, team members, and the blue indicates the email notification. So that's the real-time planning email. Your real-time planning emails are set to go out
The first
weeks 2 and 4, Monday and Thursday, it looks like, of weeks 2 and 4. So that's when you should receive the emails. In the email is a link that'll take you back into the system. Let me go ahead and actually go through, and I'll go through that process here real quick. Back to here, I'm going to go ahead and log in again. I'm going to log in as my other user, so it'll take me to the dialogue.
Yeah, the video.
Okay, so when you log in, if you're designated as an activity or an objective lead, you're going to get this dialogue. And this is how you get to quick update, the one way to get to quick update. Just click on that. It's going to take me to the activities quick update screen for everything that I personally have been assigned. And in this case, it's just a dummy data in here. So I'm going to fill in this. The stuff you're going to fill in is if you need to change the traffic light, you just cycle through the 4 lights. If you have a data value, you're going to put in there. Right now it's at 95%. I can say, I'm going to add, what is that number of tobacco vendors contacted? So I could say maybe 2 more tobacco vendors, whatever it is. I can put in a note here. This is my time and date stamp for the note. Up here in the top is the document management. So I can add documents to this particular activity. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the Save Next button down here. And when I do that, if in fact I've also been designated as an objective lead, it's going to give me this option. Do I want to go see my objectives? So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it's going to take me right up here. So here's the objective that I've been assigned to. And again, same thing, my data value, I can cycle through my traffic lights, put in a note. I can put in a regular note or a date and timestamp note. That's what this button does, but I don't have to use it if I don't want to. And then the activities that report up to that objective are down here. The blue indicates that this activity is also assigned to me. And in fact, that was the one I just went through, which means you don't have to go through it again. The gray ones are assigned to somebody. So maybe you assign these to somebody on your team. If you wanted to go and do the update, you can click on it. It'll take you back to the activities quick update screen for that particular activity, and you can do the update right there. The other way to get to, so I'm going to go back to our main menu here. If you just log into the main menu, the other way you can get back to quick update is just this button right here. It's going to do exactly the same thing as when you log in and go to it. It's going to go in and dig out everything that's assigned to you. And here we go again. So we're in the exact same place. So a couple different ways to get there. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
Another thing that I needed some clarification on was like how to determine if it's a quality improvement activity or I'm trying to think of all the different types of activities.
Quantitative measurement or
the measuring of the activities. If you could go to, for example, go to groups and go to immunization programs.
Okay, I got to log back in as a different user to get to your.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Just takes a second here. Yeah, let's walk through the 3 different types of activities and where they get used. Okay. And immunization. Okay. So which of these initiatives or services do you want to go down?
The vaccine program coordination and management.
Okay, so let's go down there. Our goal to maintain a successful vaccine program. Good. Maintain appropriate VOC annual requirements. Okay, so it does have a timeline.
Go to the maintain appropriate vaccine count and ordering.
Okay, and then activities. Okay.
So like these activities, I need to make sure that they're being done each month.
Okay.
And so like, how do I write the performance metric target so that when she does her quick updates, but then it resets every month? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the way you've got it set right now. You got measured monthly. So this is the wizard here. So you got your frequency set to monthly, which looks like you're trying to do here. The start date of the cycle. So that means typically it's going to be the first day of the month if you're measuring in a month, but you can do whatever you want with it. And then you're saying if they do 1, meaning the count is performed, then it's green. If they don't do 1, it's going to be yellow. And then you have the count performed and entered in Show Me Vax within the first work week of the month, measured monthly. That looks good to me right there. I mean, that kind of encompasses everything you're talking about. Now, I'm not going to do it because it's in your live data here. But if I were to go in and save this, so let's say I put in my 1 here that I did it and I save it, it's going to give me the option now to move this date forward. So this date is probably going to go to Is it okay if I move this one forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, it probably, you're correct, needs to be put. Well, my thought process was technically all of these things need to be done by the 14th of the month. So I guess you can just put it to the beginning of the month.
Yeah, that would be typical. Then you could just put in the activity description that it's got to be done by, the mid month, the 14th or whatever. Anyhow, the way that the dates get updated here, I'm going to put in one that we did the one meeting here, and I'm going to save it. This is the option it gives you to move the cycle start date. You can either say use today's date, which probably wouldn't make sense right now. You can say, no, I'm going to leave the cycle start date as it is. The most common selection will be select here. And what that's going to say is it's going to give you a field to put in whatever date you want. So what it's by default, it's going to go to the beginning of the next month. So 3/1 of 24. In this case, you might want to say, just for kicks, we'll put in 7/1 of 24. So now what it does is move the cycle start date ahead to 7/1, and then we're going to be measuring within the July timeframe.
Okay.
And
okay.
Go ahead and take that back to 0 because we're not in July yet. Save that. I'll say, no, I don't want to move the date. And it's going to take the light back to red. So remember, these lights are automatic on this type of activity, the QA activity, the lights set automatically. So when I took it back to 0, because it says red is less than or equal to 0, it took the light back to red. If I did my thing on the 14th of the month and put a 1 in here, saved it, it's going to say, okay, 1 or greater is going to be green. So it's going to turn this light. Well, let's just do it. I'm going to put the 1 in here. I'm going to save it. I'm going to leave the date where it is, and the light turns green. So that's the QA activity.
And can you give me an example of the other two types of activities as well, just so I'm making sure?
Yeah, let me take you back to the training group and we'll build some of those out here. We'll just go ahead and use the same one we're here. Okay, so we have, these are project-based activities. Project-based activities are the most simple and the most used. So in this case,
yeah, that has been what we've been using the most.
Yeah,
I've just been.
That's normal, by the way. So Michelle Walker will complete training, and we put the update in there because we just copied it. The performance metric. 1 second, please. The performance metric is how do I know when I've successfully completed the activity? So when the training is completed, you're done. You got your beginning and ending date in here, and your measurement by default is % complete. So it may just be that, you're going to complete the training and be done. You don't need to worry about, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%. So there's a couple options in here in the wizard. One of them is complete. So right now it's 0 to 100%. So if you're going through the training for a month, and you go in every week, let's say, and enter that I'm halfway done. So I'm 50% done and I'm 75% done. You can do that. That's one way. The other way is just to say, when I get to the end, I'm complete. And when I do that, you get a checkbox down here. So now what's going to happen when I go ahead and say, I'll go ahead and save this now. Oops, go back up to here. Okay, so now if I hit the checkbox, it's going to turn the light to gold, indicating it's 100% complete. And then what that little option says, you change the value. Do you want to change the traffic light? In this case, it'll go to gold by default on a project-based activity, but you can also flip it back down if you wanted to. So, in this case, it makes sense that it would be complete and the light would be gold in there. And then the other option that you saw down here is yes, no. It's exactly the same here. It's just if you have an activity that could be designated by a question and you want the answer to be yes or no, yes would give you 100% completion and the gold bar. No would be 0% completion. So those are the options on the project-based activity. Makes sense?
I think I've been using that one correctly then.
Yeah, that one's the easiest one. Now, the quantitative measurement activity, I'm going to go ahead and just build one into here, but it's really very, very similar to this. So let's go ahead and say I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to say, Michelle will complete 10 training modules, and I'm going to call this a QM activity. So now it's going to give me this. I'm going to say you're going to do it between, let's just say June 1 and June 30. I'm just making all this up here. My target number is 10. I'm going to complete 10 training modules, 10. I'm going to be measuring decimal, which is widgets or whatever, as opposed to dollars. You can use this particular type of activity to manage budgets, to manage grants, all kinds of stuff. So dollars is another option. And then we're just going to say, training modules completed in here. The options down here are enter a new total value. The default is enter a value to total, enter a value to add to total. I'll show you the difference here in a second. So now it built the performance metric, 10 training modules completed between 6/1/24 and 6/30/24. So we'll go ahead and save that. So now the difference between this and the project-based activity is that I have a quantity. So if I go in and say you completed 5 training modules, it's going to roll the total up to 5 and say you're 50% of the way done. And I go ahead and save that. And this little dialogue is saying, I changed the value. Did it affect the traffic light? Well, sounds like 5 is kind of halfway through. You're halfway through the month. You're on track. Everything's okay. So I'll just say okay and not have to change the traffic light here. So the basic difference is that you have this target quantity and it's going to automatically calculate your percent done versus you having to put in a percent done. So that's this particular option that we just talked about, the enter a value to add to total. If I switch that over to enter a new total value, now it takes away the summary field down here and just gives you the idea to put in. So I just might go in at the end of the month and say I did all 10 training sessions, calculates it to be 100% done, and we're all set to go here. So that's really the only difference is you have a target quantity. Now there is one more option in there, and that's what we call a zero target. So if I put in here zero target, you'll notice that the percent field goes away because the number in there is the denominator and you can't divide by 0. So all you're doing is counting. Give you an example. You're going to go out and do a bunch of vaccinations. You don't have a target number, but you want to know at the end of the month how many you did. So that's what this is all about. I'm going to do vaccinations for the month of June. And then at the end of the month, you can go in here and just have a number, and you can either have the solid number or you can have the rolled up number, either one here. So in this case, I want to say I did 5 more this week. Now it's going to roll up to 15. So this just allows you basically to keep the a running total of how many you've done without calculating a percent against the target quantity. So those are the types of activities in there. Questions on that?
I don't think so.
Okay, let me show you one other type of activity since we're kind of working in the training group, and that is the ability to track critical documents. We call it it's part of the QA activity. It's a timeline option. So let me just build this activity for you here. I'm going to go ahead and add a new activity. It says update standard operating procedure 1 annually. So I'm going to go ahead and select that as a QA activity. I'm going to say annual is my frequency here. I'm going to put my start date at, is your fiscal year 10/1 to start with?
No, our fiscal year is January 1.
Oh, is it really?
However, each of the contracts have a different fiscal year. So
Gotcha. Well, let's just go ahead and put in July 1. So I'll put in July 1 is the beginning of the fiscal year for the annual cycle here. Now I'm going to select the timeline option. When I do that, I get this percent to yellow. So I'm going to say and what this is the percent of the year when the light turns yellow and the person gets notified. So if I should happen to say 80% of the way through the year, I'm going to say SOP updated as my metric type, 80% of the way through the year. So now here's what's going to happen. Let me go ahead and save that. And then again, this is typically related to critical documents like policies, SOPs, MOUs. So what I probably want to do is tag a document into here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the document off of my little test directory here. Where to go? There it is. I'm going to use this health and wellness policy. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to call this the SOP1 and say just recently updated, and I'll go ahead and save that. Now I have the document that I'm managing attached to the activity. So what's happening at this point in time is it's going to say, we're going to update this SOP annually. I'm going to assign Michelle or Fred or whoever to this activity. When you get to 80% of the way through the year, which is about 9.5 months, and you can pick any value you want, by the way, get 80% of the way through the year, the light turns yellow. The person you designated as the activity lead gets notified through that email notification that you guys got set up already. You're going to get that email notification only when it turns yellow, because that says, hey, you're behind schedule. And then let's say Fred is the person designated. Fred can go in here, go to the document management, download that document, do the updates on the document, upload the new file up into the document management, automatically does the version control for you. As soon as you do that and you save this activity, you get that same dialog says, do you want to update the start date? You're going to say yes, and you're going to update it to the next fiscal year. It starts the cycle all over again. So basically what it's doing is coordinating the updating of all of your critical documents with the person who's supposed to be doing it in the given timeline. So that's kind of a version of the QA activity. Really comes in handy, I can tell you, on managing critical documents and such. So those are kind of
my question
yes.
about this specifically.
Uh-huh.
For example, like our workforce development plan, those things need to be reviewed yearly. So if I put like the document itself needs to be reviewed yearly. Obviously, if we make any changes, we would be updating them within VMSG. But I need to show that I've been reviewing the document. I'm trying to think of how I could utilize.
Probably just the QA activity would do that for you.
Okay.
This one basically is saying, of course you could use this too. You could say, if I'm 90% of the way through the year, whatever that happens, 11 months or 10.5 months or whatever it is, it's going to signal that person to update their particular document in there. So yeah, you could use it for that very easily.
Okay. And then another question is, for example, because we're redoing our administrative policy manual currently, and we didn't ever use standard operating procedures before. However, I'm thinning out our admin manual and starting to utilize some standard operating procedures. That way we can update those easier, not necessarily always updating the manual, like our admin manual, but like the SOPs can be updated. Would you suggest that like this, like let's say we have the WIC SOPs that we have for our WIC program. Would you suggest that all of the SOPs go in one location, or would you suggest that the WIC specific SOPs go under the WIC program category?
Now, what I would do is build a group under the department or under admin or something called SOPs or policies, or one for SOPs, one for MOUs, one for policies, and you have a group there, and then you go under that. You say your service would be WIC SOPs, and then under that you'd say manage all WIC SOPs annually when you get down to the objective level, and then the activities would be each SOP in WIC. And I'll be happy to help you to build that out, but it's at the group level. Now, that gives you a couple of benefits. First of all, it puts them all in one place. People can go in and look and say, oh, here's all my WIC SOPs, as one of the goals in there. But the other thing you can do is that's going to help the people who have to update them. But you can give everybody else read only or view access to that group so they can actually go in and use the SOPs for what they're meant to be done. So they're always going to be in the right place, if you will. They don't have to go searching for them.
Okay, that's great.
So yeah, what you might want to do is have a SOP management initiative. The first goal might be manage WIC SOPs, and then you have another one manage FEP SOPs and manage community health SOPs as the goals. And then under the objective, you're going to have, manage WIC SOPs, all WIC SOPs annually. And then the activities would be WIC SOP number 1, whatever it's called, and then have that document attached to that activity, make it a timeline activity, give somebody enough time at the end of the year to get the update done. Because what happens if you don't get it done by the end of the year, the light turns red, everybody gets the email saying, hey, this thing is overdue.
Okay. Perfect.
So I give you a
Have
good
any
idea on
other-
the types of activities.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Which I feel like I knew it. I just needed to
Yeah.
be told it again.
That's what I'm here for.
So Heaven and I have utilized this program a lot.
Uh-huh.
However, I'm trying to pull in the rest of the staff so that they're utilizing it in the programs that they're responsible for. However, I feel like I need to go back and do some updating as far as assigning leads, because when I initially did this, I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of feel like I know a little bit more now.
Well,
And how
we'd be
to
happy
update
do-
the plans.
We'd be happy to do training for the rest of the team at any level. Some people who are just going to be doing quick update just need the first training. Understanding the system, how to log in, how to change your password, how to do the quick update. And then the people are actually going to be building their plans and updating their plans, building out their plans, basically, should probably go through the operational planning training next after that.
Okay.
So, and as you're getting people on board and they want to get more familiar with it, we're happy to schedule the trainings with you.
Okay. Alrighty. I think that's good for now, Fred.
Awesome.
I'm going to use this recording to share it with everybody, and then so you said I could send you some of our plans that we have completed.
Please do.
I'm going to say right now, we've done a lot. We've done a lot. So we've completed our workforce development plan, our emergency operations plan, our strategic plan. We've really been,
That's awesome.
and that's, yeah.
I'll be happy. Like I say, I'll get them started for you. I'll make them fit into the model properly, and then I'll usually send you an email says, here's what I've done. Here's the next steps to do, and it's usually pretty simple. It's usually copy and paste after you figure out got the model right and that sort of thing. It's usually pretty easy.
I feel like the strategic plans would be pretty straightforward, but it's the emergency operations plan and my workforce development plan that I don't know how I would put it in there exactly.
Well, send them my way, and I'll get them started for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Fred.
Okay, you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for your time.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.